been warm and spring-like in eastern North Carolina, but now we're seeing some spring-like thunderstorms roll across the viewing area, and behind those thunderstorms, much cooler weather. Your complete first alert forecast is coming up.
11 service members, including 7 from Camp Lejeune, presumed dead after a training accident. WNCT has team coverage. Plus, folks still picking up the pieces from Hurricane Irene, how $1 billion in relief could be coming their way. Plus, we'll meet Pitt County's newest Teacher of the Year. 9 on your side at 5 starts right now.
This is 9 on your side at 5.
Good afternoon. I'm Angela Green. Thank you for joining us. The big story tonight: 11 service members presumed dead after a helicopter crash overnight. The U.S. Coast Guard is searching 50 square miles around Santa Rosa Island in Florida, where the Black Hawk was performing a training mission. 7 of the 11 on board were based at Camp Lejeune. Craig Boswell has the latest.
Searchers are looking for the remains of 11 service members after their Black Hawk helicopter crashed Tuesday night during a training exercise off the Florida coast.
We've got ground crews that are going up and down the shoreline, and they're looking for any signs of the accident. 7
Marines and 4 Army National Guard crew members were on board the Black Hawk. The National Weather Service had issued a dense fog advisory. Visibility was 2 miles or less at the time of the crash.
We're being somewhat hampered by the fog, so it's difficult and slow going, but we're persistent and we're going to keep at it.
The crash happened during a nighttime training exercise near Eglin Air Force Base.
There were 2 helicopters that were on the mission. One of them started to take off and then realized I guess that the weather was a condition and turned around and came back.
The Marines on board were stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. The aircrew was from an Army National Guard unit in Hammond, Louisiana.
And the entire crew had several thousand hours of operation flying the Black Hawk.
The Pentagon is holding the names of the victims in order to notify family members. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
President Obama spoke with the commanding officers of the bases where the victims were stationed. The president says he's confident there will be a detailed and thorough investigation into that crash. Now, folks and organizations in the Jacksonville area say they are prepared to step in and help these families during their time of need. That's just one of the angles WNCT's Andrew Ruiz is covering. He is live at Camp Lejeune with details. Andrew.
Angela, here, everyone I spoke to says that the Marines know how to take care of their men and women. The problem is when the dust settles, who will be there? We spoke to someone who lost their husband in Iraq. Amy Dozier is an Army spouse who lost her husband during an attack in Iraq 7 years ago. She was greeted at the door by military officers informing her that Staff Sergeant John Dozier was killed by an IED. This morning, when Amy heard the news that 11 servicemen died, her heart sank. This led her to immediately ask, what can I do?
To be honest, I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken because, number one, there are several families who are still waiting. There are families who aren't able to get in touch with their loved ones who might have been on that helicopter. They're waiting for word that their loved ones are okay, not knowing that probably in the next several hours, they too will be receiving a knock on the door.
Amy volunteers with organizations like TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. They take care of anyone grieving from a military loss, and they will likely be the ones who will extend the help to these families further down the line. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll hear more on Amy's story and how she says she's able to cope with her husband's loss. Live aboard Camp Lejeune, Andrew Ruiz, 9 on your side.
Thank you, Andrew. And of course, you can stay up to date with all the latest developments on our website, WNCT.com. Now, this morning, Cherry Point's Pedro helicopter rescued a Washington man who was reported missing last night. 56-year-old Lee Cooper was reported missing after he did not return home from his kayaking trip on Cedar Island. Cooper was transported via Pedro to Carteret General Hospital, but the chopper could not land due to fog. Cooper was then taken to Craven Regional Medical Center and later to Vidant Medical Center. His condition is not known at this time. Another warm day across the east, but the rain will cool us off. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Jackson up now with a look at your first alert forecast.
That's right, Angela. It felt just like a spring-like day of weather here in eastern North Carolina. That's helped to fuel a few strong thunderstorms in advance of an approaching cold front. Let's take a live look at Viper 9 going on this evening. We have some heavy rain now beginning to push into the northern end of Pitt County, just north of Greenville now, and even a few lightning strikes showing up out there. With some of these thunder showers as they move through, we could certainly see some heavy downpours of rain, some brief gusty winds, and even the possibility, at least, of a little bit of small hail in some of these storms. So far, everything has remained technically just below severe limits, but you see some heavy activity either side of Bethel, just beginning to close in on the northern edge now of Greenville. So we'll be monitoring these closely over the next few hours. You can obviously see the dark clouds approaching here at our WNCT studios, and it's no wonder we had thunderstorms fire up. It's been a hot day of weather in some locations with daytime highs climbing well into the 80s, but we'll be correcting that by tomorrow. Up in a few minutes, we've got your complete forecast. It includes cooler weather in the short term and eventually a better chance of more widespread rain for everyone. We'll straighten out all the details coming up, Angela.
All right, thank you, Jerry. An effort is underway to potentially free up $1 billion to help those still suffering from the April 2011 tornadoes and Hurricane Irene. WNCT's Josh Birch speaking to those behind the effort and some who could benefit from this money. He's in the newsroom with the details, Josh.
Well, Angela, there are 11 counties in the east, including Dare, Pitt, Greene, Beaufort, Craven, and Carteret, vying to win the National Disaster Resilience Competition. Currently, counties in the east are trying to find out how much need there is from folks who are still dealing with damage from these storms. Folks with the Beaufort County Emergency Management say these funds are geared towards those who have fallen through the cracks. The county has received money in the past to help raise people's homes that flooded that could prove damage, but the criteria prevented some without insurance who needed help from getting it.
The money we've gotten in the past has been based on repetitive or severe repetitive loss. So you can't show any loss came out of your pocket because you didn't have flood insurance.
Now, there is a meeting tonight in Pamlico County. It starts at 7 o'clock in the Pamlico County Courthouse, and counties in the east are just at the beginning of this very long process, but they need to report their needs to the Housing and Urban Development by the end of the month. Coming up at 6, hear from some folks who say they desperately need some help. Josh Birch, 9 on your side.
Thank you, Josh. A man jailed in connection with the New Year's Day murder in Granville is dead after he hung himself inside his Raleigh Central prison cell. Police say Edward Campbell and his 21-year-old son, Eric Campbell, drove from Alvin, Texas, killed a Granville County couple, set their house on fire, and stole their truck. The couple's bodies were found under a mattress in the back of the truck. There was no word on a motive. Campbell and his son were also accused of shooting 2 police officers when they tried to arrest them in West Virginia. The trial of a man charged in the murder of a political fundraiser in Raleigh has been stopped until further notice. Jonathan Broyhill is accused in the stabbing death of Jamie Hahn. This morning, the judge announced he's investigating a potential leak of information by a juror. The judge says one juror raised concern about another last night, saying the juror discussed the case in public with his wife, which is not allowed. Prosecutors showed a Boston jury evidence they say the defendant left at the scene of the 2013 marathon bombings. The jury is also hearing testimony about the only victim to die at a second crime scene. Chris Van Cleve has more from the courthouse.
With the family of slain police officer Sean Collier looking on, the chief of the MIT Police, John DeFava, told jurors about the last time he saw the 27-year-old officer alive. It was 3 days after the Boston Marathon bombing. I told him to be safe, the chief said. Hours later, Collier was gunned down. Prosecutors argue the Tsarnaev brothers murdered the officer in his patrol car in an attempt to get a second gun after they were publicly identified as the prime suspects in the marathon bombing. The morning session was dominated by technical testimony about cell phone usage on the part of the defendant and his brother on the day of the bombing up through his arrest. Jurors did get a look at some of the evidence left on Boylston Street after prosecutors say defendant Johar Tsarnaev and his brother set off bombs near the marathon finish line. The evidence included a shredded backpack and remnants from a pressure cooker that contained one of the bombs. FBI agent Sarah DeLiere also presented BBs, nails, and shards of metal recovered from the scene. Video of the moments before the explosions show the brothers arriving with backpacks. After the explosions, they're seen running away without them. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Boston.
All right, so to come tonight on 9 on Your Side at 5:30, a new ISIS video appears to show a child involved in an execution, who the hostage is, and the latest on the effort to take back a key Iraqi city. But first, state legislators making another effort to limit tanning in North Carolina, what they're trying to pass after your first alert forecast.
And that thunderstorm we were showing you near the top of the show, severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect for Pitt, Beaufort, and Martin counties. We'll have the very latest coming up next.
Now your WNCT 9 First Alert weather.
Well, if you've been joining us on Facebook over the past half hour or so, we've been tracking some strong thunderstorm activity moving from west to east. All this is forming in advance of a cold front pushing through the area, and it's no wonder we had a few thunderstorms fire up. It's been so warm and rather spring-like outside today. Let's bring you the very latest on our severe thunderstorm warning. Not a whole lot of storm activity, but the few storms that are out there are certainly taking advantage of the warm, destabilized atmosphere. And you can see a severe thunderstorm warning currently in effect now for portions of Pitt, Martin, and also Beaufort County. Here's the main storm, this yellow shaded area that you see. Those are the areas of the county that are outlined under the severe thunderstorm warning currently. Heaviest activity is nestled just in between Bethel and just north of Greenville now. Maybe even some hail formation taking place near the center of this storm. So just be on the lookout. It is moving from west to east, and technically the warning remains in effect until about 5:45 this afternoon. Remains yet to be seen whether or not we'll see that extended beyond that. Also some heavy showers and thunderstorms either side of Williamston, extending all the way up to the north up toward Bertie County. So again, keep in mind we will continue to see a few additional thunderstorms at least over the next couple of hours. Later tonight, everything should finally begin to settle down a little bit. You can see the batch of darker clouds as they whisk away now just north of our WNCT studios. But again, Pitt County could certainly see some heavy downpours. No wonder too, it was so warm outside today. Here in Greenville specifically, we topped out at 82 degrees this afternoon, way above the seasonal average for early March. That is for sure. Normally temperatures being about in the mid 60s, but we're starting to cool back into the 60s now behind the cold front that is currently producing that active weather. Roanoke Rapids at 66, Rocky Mount at 69, Ahoskie at 69, still 80 in Washington. And look at the difference in wind direction. Southerly winds for our southern counties, northerly winds farther to the north, and it's right along that transition zone that you see the greatest instability and therefore the thunderstorm activity. And that threat of showers and thunderstorms will continue to drop off to the south and east as we head deeper into the evening. They are very nicely showing up the three counties under the effect of the severe thunderstorm warning at this time. And again, that cluster continues to push from west to east. A wider perspective is showing a new storm system, though, emerging in the Gulf of Mexico. Look at all the lightning strikes starting to show up This is the second in a series of lows emerging out of the Gulf. It too will be pushing over land in the southern U.S. over the next few days. System number 1 is helping to drag the cold front across our viewing area tonight. This system will continue to keep most of its rainfall west of us, at least in the short term, but later this week, some of this moisture and energy may attempt to slide a little bit closer to us. So I do think that once we head into the start of the weekend, we will have a better chance and better coverage of more widespread showers moving in. Outside tonight, a few strong thunderstorms certainly possible out there. Overnight lows falling back into the upper 40s for our northern counties, low to mid 50s farther south and east. Taking a look at your forecast for tomorrow, a daytime high only near 60 in Greenville, much cooler than what we saw outside today. Your boating forecast, a small craft advisory remains in effect. Sea is averaging 5 to 7 feet, 2 to 3 feet for the sounds. A moderate chop in the lakes and rivers, and that inland 7-day forecast is showing a pretty good chance of rain and thunderstorms as we head into the evening tonight. We get a break in the action tomorrow, and then more rain heads our way for Friday into Saturday. Should be just rain by then. It looks like the potential for thunderstorms this weekend is going to be fairly low, but that severe thunderstorm warning does continue for a little while longer. And of course, with warmer weather too comes lots of outdoor events. Don't forget, coming up, the big Glow Run is going to be going on in Kenansville, squealing for a cure to benefit cancer research on March 28th.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Now, there is a new Teacher of the Year in Pitt County. Matt Robinson, a 5th grade math and science teacher at Northwest Elementary, honored today at Rock Springs Center. Robinson graduated from East Carolina and was a teaching fellow. This is his 6th year teaching. Robinson says his kids will be treated to ice cream tomorrow because of the honor. He walks away with the keys to a 2015 Hyundai Elantra from Pichelli's Automotive to use for a year. Our state lawmakers once again setting their sights on tanning beds. Coming up next, what limits they're trying to set on salons. Plus, a new study shows a tetanus shot can help some brain cancer patients live years longer. We'll take a look at the research next. What? The state Senate returning to work this afternoon as several committees look over a number of different bills. One of them involves tanning beds. It's a controversial health-related bill surrounding who can use the popular tanning beds. The measure would ban anyone under 18 from using them. Current law prohibits anyone 13 or younger, while kids 14 to 17 must have parents' permission. A similar bill was filed 2 years ago. It passed the House but stalled in the Senate. Now, most patients with brain cancer have little time to live, but researchers at Duke are reporting a significant development in treatment. Ebony Williams has the story in today's Health Watch.
Sandy Hilburn was diagnosed with a brain tumor and told she only had months to live.
My whole left side was, I don't know if you would say paralyzed, but it wasn't working.
That was 9 years ago.
I've got all these new grandchildren. It is a gift. I'm so lucky.
Treating glioblastoma patients can be difficult because the blood-brain barrier doesn't allow drugs, including chemotherapy, to pass through and attack tumors. So researchers at Duke Cancer Institute came up with an idea to use tetanus shots to prime the patient's immune system for treatment.
We might be able to use that tetanus shot to sort of precondition the vaccine site. And when we did that, we were able to dramatically enhance the effect of the vaccine.
Researchers looked at 12 patients. The half that received the tetanus shot lived at least 5 years.
We simply just do not see this with this disease under any circumstances.
Sandy is still beating the odds.
My daughter said at my bedside, "Mom, we're going to celebrate your 65th birthday." And I said, "We're going to celebrate my 70th. So now we're going to Disney World.
She still goes back to Duke every month for injections. Ebony Williams, CBS News, New York.
Researchers say patients tolerated the treatment extremely well and there are little side effects.
All right, coming up tonight in sports, day 2 of the ACC tournament in Greensboro. Florida State, Clemson in the day's opener, then Carolina in the second game. Your early sports is coming up next. It is day 2 of the 2015 ACC basketball tournament in Greensboro. 4 games on the schedule today. Top 4 seeds in the event not playing until tomorrow with those double byes. After a pair of 1-point games on Tuesday, we had another close one in the opener. Florida State taking on Clemson. 2012 ACC tournament champion Florida State in control. Xavier Rattan-Mays with a tough 3. Noles led 50-35. Then Rattan-Mays, he was putting on a show. Had 30 points in the game. But the Noles almost blew a 20-point lead late. Clemson put a furious rally on. DeMarcus Harrison for 3. Leonard Hamilton couldn't believe that. They had the inside slam right there, and they would come back and hold off 76-73. We'll double-check some of those highlights, and we will get the rest of that for you coming up tonight at 6:20. UNC and Boston College. The second game, Marcus Page presented with the Skip Prosser Award trophy before the game. That award named after the former Wake Forest coach. Page, a 2-time academic All-American. Close game early on. Aaron Brown, the triple for BC. And then Nate Britt answers. We are tied at 16. But P.J. Tokido and company pulling away. On the outlet of Justin Jackson. Hills led at 43-30 at the half. Second half, Page to Bryce Johnson for the slam. And then Page and Johnson again. Little 2-man basketball. Page and Johnson each with 17 points. Tokido hitting the boards. On the follow, Heels do pull away. In fact, Carolina pounded the boards today against Boston College. Check out Isaiah Hicks coming through with a slam. Carolina wins it 81-63 was that final. Coming up tonight, NC State, it's the 7th seed taking on Pittsburgh. That's the 7 o'clock game, and that winner gets number 2 Duke tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Time now for our nightly feature. Our play of the day. It's our Bailey's Best. Comes to us tonight from hockey. Check this out. Kyle Clifford with one hand is going to poke the puck home. You gotta be careful how you say that, don't you? Check it out again. Pokes it in the net with one hand. He's got it. And is our Bailey's Best from the Diamond at Clark LeClaire Stadium. East Carolina leads UNC Greensboro 8-1. Travis Watkins, a grand slam, and they're in a lightning delay as we sit here. But it looks like the Pirates are going to pick up a win. They're losing in disappointing fashion last night.
All right, we'll be looking for an update on that. Thank you, Bailey. Coming up tonight at 6, we'll update Carolina. More and more businesses are polling their employees on a weekly basis. We'll examine that trend. But first, another look at your coastal and inland 7-day forecast. Chief Meteorologist Jerry Jackson breaks it all down for us.